ones that ban away this Black Feather, so not running to run the Crystal Black Feather either out of the jungle. So we could see them end up going for another Fortress, and when they round out their composition, because they are taking that Lyra after Hammers ban away the Arden, so it will force that kind of 1.5 tier, I guess, of captains. But Hammers, they're not even going to go for it. They're going to go with the Adagio Fortress. They are definitely shaking this one up.
A few really quick picks coming through and bans for the side of C9 and Hammers. Adagio, Rhyme, and Fortress is a composition we've seen before. Works really well because it's very aggressive and it has a lot of weapon power damage coming from the backline because of Adagio.
This feels like a Cloud9 composition, right?
Yeah, it kind of does, but it is going to be a Captain Fortress, almost certainly, because you're not going to have Rhyme and Adagio Rhyme and Fortress be your two carries in the game. So likely to be that Captain Fortress, which there's still a place for the Fortress as a captain, but obviously Cloud9 has been heavily prioritizing it as a jungler. Instead, they're going to go to the Koshka, and I Love Joseph on Koshka is a classic pick.
It certainly is. I'm excited to see how this one is going to pan out, starting all over. Taking that Adagio up against Old School, one of the players that most renowned for that pick on his Kestrel. I'm curious to see how this one's going to pan out. Where are you guys going to be watching during this game? What's the most important lane for you guys?
The jungle matchup is going to be the most important thing because Koshka is a classic pick. However, it doesn't play too well against the Rhyme. It will need to snowball, but Rhyme is very strong early on. So how Joseph will play the matchup is going to be very interesting for me to watch.
Yeah, absolutely agree. I think the jungle is the most important, but it's also how the junglers are going to affect the lane, because they can both have really strong ganks and a really strong presence when they make the rotations up to the lane. If one rotates a bit faster, then all of a sudden that team can get a huge advantage.
All right, we've talked a little bit about the Fortress aggression. With it going into a captain role instead of this jungle, does that affect how aggressive you have to be?
I mean, it doesn't affect how aggressive you have to be because you still scale really well into the late game. For me, the worry for C9 is the fact that they picked up the Koshka against an Adagio, a Rhyme, and a Fortress. The lockdown for her when she goes in is going to be a little too much. So, again, Joseph is going to have to perform really well to make it work for C9 here.
Well, Joseph is definitely a player that we've seen perform exceptionally well on many, many occasions. I'm curious to see how he's going to do on this Koshka. And honestly, I feel like this jungle, a lot of it is going to be down to last hits early in the game as well. When we've got these Elder Treants that these guys are going to be fighting over. Both Koshka and Rhyme exceptionally good at getting those last hits on the jungle camps.
Yeah, they both do a lot of burst damage. You know, Koshka with the Twirly Death, Rhyme with his Winter Spires. They can easily try and get into these last hit battles against each other, and it almost comes down to just a 50-50 of who's going to actually get that last little bit of damage in.
Absolutely. So let's talk a little bit about this lane matchup as well. We've got Kestrel going up against Adagio. First of all, are we expecting this to be CP or weapon power Adagio, and how does that match up against a Kestrel?
It will most likely be a weapon power Adagio just because they have the Rhyme in the jungle who plays as a CP carry. The matchup is very interesting because both can take it, but Adagio does have slight advantage.
All right, we'll see if that's going to be a big factor in this game. Cloud9 currently 1-0 up. Let's see if Hammers can take this one back. Hashtag Vainglory 8. It's time to pass it over to our casters and get into game number 2 of our second semi-final.
Thanks, guys. Once again, game number 2 underway, and it was only a matter of time before we saw Joseph bring out that Koshka yet again. This time, Old School's up in that lane with the Kestra and Gabe Bizzles on the Lyra. This is a tough composition to come up against, especially with that Adagio not being so strong in the early game.
Yeah, the early game is where Joseph is looking to just gain massive advantage, but it will get more dangerous as the game goes on. So, oh, that is bad.
Uh-oh, rooted EU Treant. Joseph falls for it. Flask is going to get popped, and hey-ho, starting all over, finds Spud.
Well, the early game does not look that good for Joseph at this point. Old School doing a good job of trying to steal away these minions, but no, that one's going to go over to Chicken. So now Old School's been pressured out. I Love Joseph has given up the first blood, and they've lost 2 major camps.
What a start. Not Cloud9 were hoping for. There you go. Joseph at least secures that one with the Twirly Death. The Old School going very low here. Now support the Flask. Chicken doing exactly the same thing. Starting all over, continuing the aggression. He picks up another kill. Joseph going fairly low here. No Flask available. Remember, starting all over. It's going to end up trading with him. Chicken finds a kill on the board for himself. And that'll be 3-1 on the scoreboard at 1 minute and 30 seconds.
What's more important than those kills is what status has been up to this whole time. He's been farming. what has I Love Joseph been doing? Fighting and getting some kills, but primarily dying. He spent more time dead than he has spent farming. And because of that, Status is going to, one, be able to pick up all of those camps for free. You had all those camps being stolen away by the members of Hollywood Hammers, and now that early game aggression we would have expected out of Old School, he's probably still going to play the same style. I don't see him pulling back on the throttle because that's not a good idea for them. We see he goes on to starting all over, gets bopped on the nose, but still, he has to keep up the pace. It's just not going to be as successful.
Yeah, he's going to get punished for that kind of maneuver as well. He did take a turret shot, like you said. And we're starting all over, starting with 2 kills. That's pretty good for him. He's going to be coming online a lot quicker than Old School is. And you got to put this in perspective. Joseph normally has to deal with Status, but right now, we've got Old School sitting in a lane up against a 2-1 starting all over with Chicken backing him up as well. They're Cloud9. They're going to have to play a little bit more conservative and just wait for Joseph maybe to hit that level 6 mark.
I'm not sure that that's even going to be enough. I think not only does it need to be the level 6 mark, but he also needs to have already gotten the Aftershock, and then they need to get that kill and then get away with it. Like, Joseph needs to they need to get the kill, and then Joseph needs to head into the jungle, and then they need to find another kill, or they need to force Status to back and lose out on a bunch of jungle farm. A bunch of things really need to happen for Cloud9 to reclaim the advantage. Yes, you can always win late in team fights. You've got a weapon power Kestrel. Those crits are going to be massive. There's always the potential for a couple of glimmer shots to just reduce starting all over to nothing. But you don't want to have to bank on that. So really, how they play the level 6 is going to be huge for the side of Cloud9 getting back into the game.
Well, I mean, reflex boxes are going to have to be a must, but already another fight breaks out as Chicken does find one. Joseph ends up falling yet again. This is not something we usually see from his posture specifically. He's sitting at 1 and 3 with hammers, taking such an aggressive early game. Old School, though, is going very low, and he's just going to get chased up here. Chicken, it pops the flask to stay alive. Gabe Vizzle is over on the other side of the wall, but he's going to get chased out by Status here. Here comes Joseph again, re-entering the fight on top of that bright bulwark, but Chicken makes his risky escape underneath that treant, and he'll end up surviving that entire engagement.
Yeah, Joseph knew he couldn't go in there. But maybe if he were even or ahead, he might have been willing to dive that. But he knew it was way too risky for him to make a play that aggressive and to, possibly set himself even further behind. So he has tempered himself a little bit. But we see how much pressure is being put onto the members of Cloud9. Old School was dove under tower pretty much with impunity. If he'd been able to turn and get off that extra shot, he kills Chicken, but he doesn't have the time to do that because the mortal wound is ticking. He's taken so much damage, and now Cloud9, they have to figure out how to move as a unit enough to be able to find that initial kill. I Love Joseph is close to that level 6. He's working on that aftershock. He's picked up the extra heavy prism so that he's got some good burst to follow up with that, so that aftershock combo does hurt. But they need to get a kill or they're going to start to fall pretty far behind, because starting all over, he's 2-1 and 3. He's in a great position. He'll have his Sorrow Blade fairly soon. He's also picked up a few extra items. He's sitting on 2,000 gold. He can go buy it now. He's also going to have a little bit of extra attack speed. He's going to have a little bit of extra armor over Old School.
A lot of items over his counterpart in the lane. However, Cloud9 determined to make sure he cannot go back just yet to buy those items and make use of that gold. Fountain gets popped from hammers as they do go for a small engage, but Cloud9, they end up just backing off. They have the Fountain of their own, so they have got a 60-second window where they've got that at an advantage.
Yeah, and they've also given Trian over to Old School, so he can just stay in the lane. He already managed to make his significant purchase, so that's good for them. I like the fact that they were pressuring them before starting the Lover. I'd been able to head down to the middle shop and be able to actually pick up that Sorrow Blade, because he was doing significant damage already. Now he's got that, and this next team fight is going to be crucial for Cloud9. They have to win it, but they also have to win it, convincingly.
Right bulwark from Gabe Vizzle to stop the hammers engage once again. They want to win this fight convincingly, but right now it's not looking so convincing when they can't really get much damage down onto starting all over. Yeah, Mechanic Frenzy is available for Joseph, however. He is that level 6 mark, but starting all over has a reflex box, so does Chicken. Status is the only one that doesn't have his, but he'll be there with the Valkyrie, I'm sure, if you do use that ultimate straight on top of it.
This was good poke from Old School and great Bright Bull.
Boots coming in. Yeah, great Bright Bulwark. Valkyrie came down, didn't stun anybody up, but it sure did slow Cloud9. They're just going to advance, and Old School ends up falling down. Joseph is going to have to just back off there, using that early death to get the speed boost. Gabe Fizzle trying to retreat to his turret, pops the flask. The Sidru's going to heal him up as well. Hammers, they do end up finding a kill here, and that will result in a big shot for the Adagio.
Yeah, that was a good engage from the side of Hollywood Hammers. They caught Cloud9 when they were looking to kind of get this side rotation. They wanted to head down to the shop, possibly pick up what would have been the aftershock for I Love Joseph. Out comes the Versus Judgment. They bring down the turret, and then is this going to be full engage?
Hang on a second. Passageway, though, is going to get used, and that's the only Candy Frenzy on Chicken, but he's still alive. A big double kill comes through for the Adagio in the end. He just sat there with everybody else ignoring him.
That looked so good for Cloud9. They'd gotten all of Hollywood Hammers underneath the turret when it exploded, so there was that extra damage in there. They bring down status fairly quickly. Chicken falls. But Old School was kind of caught in the middle, and like I said, I Love Joseph, he wanted to go and pick up that aftershock. That's what that rotation was from Cloud9. Gave Hollywood Hammers that first team fight over on their side of the map, and he didn't have it in that fight either, so that just that bit of burst that probably would have been there for Cloud9 to be able to survive that team fight a little bit better wasn't there. They have it now, but that's 2 fights in a row they've been fighting without having that significant item. We've also got a Dragon's Eye on status, so if he's building up those stacks, damage there, Tornado Trigger is finished for starting all over. This is a great time for the side of Hollywood Hammers to be fighting. They are taking a lot of poke from the side of Cloud9.
Yeah, that's one thing they do need to watch out for, that poke from Old School. He does have Sorrow Blade, hasn't got that second item online just yet. That's Monocle, I can imagine, isn't going to be there available for him, but Cloud9, they are backing up against this turret, and with starting all over, does manage to touch it with that Tornado Trigger. It will melt very quickly, and a couple of Winter Spires will send that under half HP as well. They've got to be careful here. They need to back off. They've got sustain. In fact, both of these teams do, and I think Cloud9, they're just going to have to work around that advantage.
Yeah, they have slightly more sustain. There isn't a great Poison Shiv holder on the side of Hollywood Hammers. Maybe starting 11 can pick it up, but that really does cut down the value of what his Adagio build's going to look like. Joseph goes in, he gets caught.
Oh, Joseph, wrong place, wrong time. Valkyrie ends up sealing the deal. Attack of the Pack's going to get popped, but those War Treads from Cloud9 just sent Old School and Gabe Fizzle to safety. But that's exactly what Hollywood Hammers wanted. They get free time with the Gold Miner. They pick up a kill as well to boost. Now, they can just walk down this lane with the amount of gold and damage they do have.
At 1-5-2, Joseph is playing with fire when he goes in for those types of plays. If he'd been facing Rhyme, he doesn't get caught, but he turned away. The Chill Winds root him up. There is a lot of lockdown for this Koshka. The desk mentioned how difficult it is going to be for Joseph to maneuver, and we're seeing it firsthand. Every time he goes in, he is locked down, and Status is outputting massive damage. It also means that Status is building free stacks. He's got that overdriven Winter Spire. It's faster, it outputs at a much higher rate, which means if he does it right, he can get 2 Winter Spires down on the Joseph plus the Chill Winds. That's gonna be significant stacks, and that means as the team fight progresses, Old School is in more trouble, because if that Rhyme gets anywhere near him, he's going to have 0 defensive capability, and he's going to get popped very quickly.
Get down Old School if he touches you, basically. You got to keep at the back line, continue that poke. Maybe that's the key to Cloud9's success right now, but Status, he's got Eve of Harvest on board, so now he's even harder to kill. Starting all over, accelerating that initial lead he had in the start of the game with 2 kills, churning that into 5-1 with such a proficient gold lead at 10 minutes. We're looking at upwards of 5,000 gold almost now for Hollywood Hammers. This is a very different Cloud9 with a couple of comfort picks as well, mind you.
It all came down to that Treant at the beginning. That one mistake has basically put Cloud9 on the defensive, because it's one thing if you start things out even as a Koshka, but starting things out behind, Koshka even means that Koshka has the capability to get ahead. Koshka behind has to get back to even before she can take that step and really reach that dangerous point where she's dishing out damage in the middle of the fight, she's picking off targets, she's impossible to lock down because she's so fast. Joseph never got that opportunity. He spent so much of the early game trying to reclaim those portions of his jungle based on that, that initial Treant mistake. And you can always come back from something like that, but it's very difficult on a Koshka who loses value as the game goes on when people have got the reflect blocks to block the Yummy Catnip Frenzy. There's just too many things that make it difficult for Joseph to succeed in these team fights.
Well, second turret has fallen. Passageway into the Bright Bulwark. They're just going to try and jump on, starting all over, but the Valkyrie just stunned off 3 members of Cloud9. Joseph escaping, use the other end of the passage. Is going to pop his own reflex ball to get away from Chicken, but with their main carry already falling, will mean a lot of damage down onto that tier 3 turret. Joseph, Chicken, the cat chases the chicken. The chicken chases the cat, sorry, this time around, as he does end up going down. But hang on a second, Crystal Sentry doing a little bit too much damage. In fact, Chicken's going to have to back off. It doesn't matter too much, though, because they've already broken the base.
Wait, Crystal Sentry, it's not done. He's going to die.
He got him. Okay, my bad. EU Crystal Sentry. Oh, my goodness. What was that? Redemption, I guess, for Joseph? He got a kill. Oh no, Old School got the credit as well, so it even feels bad for Joseph now.
Yeah, a one-shot, one-kill came through, and it hit Chicken as he was retreating, so he tried to turn back and walked right back into Crystal Sentry's waiting arms. Unfortunate for Chicken, but it's not a huge deal. They've got a 5k gold advantage. They've taken every turn on the map. Now they finally decide to back and leave the map for a little bit. That lets Old School pick up the turret, but here comes Status.
Yeah, you say that, but they instantly stun Old School with that Valkyrie, and he just disappears in under a second. Gabe Vizzle now. That's how fast it was. I couldn't even say the name. Gabe Vizzle now running away. Joseph, Old School. They've already fallen. And Hammers with a commanding lead. And we're not even in 15 minutes yet. And Cloud9 only have 2 turrets remaining. The Kings of North America right now. They're getting a chip taken out of them.
We've talked about Cloud9. They've been trying out new things. You know, whether or not it's an actual slump and they're not playing that well, or they're kind of testing their limits, looking for new strategies as they get ready for the World Championship because their spot is secured. You know, that's definitely up for debate. But Hammers are definitely showing in this match that if you give them the opportunity, they can close out games. That's really the first step to becoming a great team. The second step, being able to, you know, come from behind and then close out games again. They're at least proving that they know how to win the game when they have a good lead, and they know how to maintain and extend it. So, you know, it's a good showing from Hammers, and it'll get them some much-needed points in the season. This is also, you know, a good bit for them that they can kind of play some more, you know, some different compositions. We haven't seen a whole lot of Fortress. The Adagio is popping up here and there, so they're not necessarily limited in what they can play.
Double Tornado Trigger with the Sorrow Blade. 7-1 is starting all over right now. Hammer sitting in prime position to take the game. Cloud9, they need to be able to react. The active camo was popped. Water is going to come out as well. There's the Bright Bulwark, but the attack of the pack will roll on through. Cloud9 are going to be able to disengage here. Joseph, right now, he's a moving scout trap, it feels like, because Yummy Catnip Frenzy, and like you mentioned earlier, is harder and harder to make work. It's so easy to block, and he just falls off in relevance. Hammers, though, setting up a sneaky death trap, although they might be going for a little back door here. Maybe, maybe not. Cloud9, they know where they are exactly because they've just flared them out. The Bright Bulwark with the passageway is going to be good, but the Valkyrie's going to be even better if they can find it on Old School. He does manage to block it. The Yummy Catnip Frenzy is blocked as well, and Old School getting 3 damage down here. This is good. Starting all over is now going to fall, and now Status is the only member alive. The carry for the team. It needs to be able to come up big in this situation, but Joseph is going to get those twirly deaths off, and he's just going to fall if he's not careful. One shot, one kill. Will finally find him. Joseph finds himself a double kill, and Cloud9 get an ace.
It was an interesting idea, but it was the wrong place to fight. You've got the Crystal Sentry there. You've got a very condensed area that you're not in control of. Side of Hollywood Hammers, they've done their best jobs when they're initiating the fights as a team. They were kind of split up and spread out in the course of that fight. They've also, in the last few fights, been able to instantly find Old School with the Valkyrie, with the lockdown coming out from Status, and Chicken being able to get the Mortal Wound in so that Gabe Vizzle's healing doesn't come through. That time, they were kind of all over the place for the side of Hammers. They got a little overconfident, thinking that their lead meant that they could take any fight that they wanted, and it just proved that Cloud9 aren't out of the game yet. Yes, Joseph is behind, but that just means he has to be in the perfect position to dish out his damage. Yummy Catnip Frenzy was blocked, but it also put Joseph in the right position to do damage, and the entire time Old School was being pressured, but starting all over had already kind of been removed from the situation. So it's a good show from Cloud9 to be able to pull that team fight back. They're going to get some gold back off of, getting these objectives on the map. Yes, they'll trade away 500 gold with the Kraken, but they need gold more than they care about giving it away to their opponents, who are pretty much at the end of their builds.
And the Kraken got one turret and a little smidgen on their base turret. But remember, like game number 1, cast your mind back. Cloud9 were down to 2 turrets, and then they completely reversed it on Hammers. So can they do that again? It's looking like a real possibility, especially the way that team fight dish went. We are jumping into a brief pause, however. But if we look at those gold leads, there is a 6,000 gold lead for Hammers. But like you were saying, they're nearing the end of their builds now, which means gold is going to become an irrelevant factor for them, with Cloud9 trading up that way, trading for the gold advantage in the objectives. They are going to now start to come online and start reaching their pinnacle point as well.
There's still space for starting all over to grow a little bit. He's going to finish off with his possibly a Tyrant's Monocle, maybe a 3rd Tornado trigger. Status can still grow in terms of damage if he decides a 4th damage item is necessary. He doesn't have to be worried about old school damage, but there is still space for the gold lead to find value on the side of Hammers, but it is starting to diminish. And if Cloud9 wins some back-to-back team fights, you could definitely see the gold lead becoming irrelevant very quickly.
We're going to get the pause briefly sorted out. We're just going to we'll sit and wait, and you can hear our lovely voices for the time being. But so what do Cloud9 do in this situation now? Because they've been able to take at least one Kraken, and they're able now to just force Hammers into a situation they don't want to be in. Hammers, they made a risky play, but will that happen again?
Primarily Cloud9 need to find a similar team fight to what they just had, where there isn't just an instant hard engage from Status, and we are back into the game. So Cloud9 need to find an opportunity where they once again spread out the members of Hollywood Hammers. They've done a very good job of finding team fights as a group on the side of Hammers. Kin pops the attack of the pack, and then they're all able to move in the same direction as one unit. There isn't really a punishment. Maybe a great active camo stun from old school, kind of instantly punishes that head-on strategy, but there isn't a really great way for that to happen. So Cloud9 need to play a long and extended team fight, and that's a great way of opening things up, but he gets caught.
Valkyrie doesn't get blocked at all. Old School used his reflex block a little bit too late and ends up punished for it as well. Cloud9 running back to their healing platform, but the cat's already dead. The 9 lives are up, but that passageway was almost a little bit too good from Gabe Vizzle. Doesn't quite find the executes on Hammers. They're just going to go for the base turrets now. Those Vein Crystal turrets will fall rather rapidly with the damage from starting all over. They're going to try and kill Gabe Vizzle, but he's more than healthy enough on this Lyra. Haven't got the minions either. Gabe Vizzle is actually holding the minions at his feet, but I'm not sure it's going to matter. Hammers, they are just going to completely ignore that fact and tie the series up 1-1.
Yeah, in instant engagement from the side of Hollywood Hammers, and the lack of block onto the Valkyrie. Every team fight that Hollywood Hammers found, they got a great Valkyrie onto either I Love Joseph or Old School. They found one of those priority targets and were able to just burst through any of the healing that Gabe Vizzle could output. And it was just close. I feel bad for Gabe Vizzle. He was so close to being able to keep them alive a little bit longer.
The reverse turret sweep could have happened, but Cloud9 weren't able to seal the deal. Hammers, they end up taking the victory, and a 1-1 will be at the series score thus far.